Chris, I'm going to throw it over to you. Can you give us an example of a program that Quest has been working with to highlight in regards to ZTA?
Sure. We've been working with several large agencies, both in DoD and civilian. The most recent one we had was a very, very large civilian agency, and they were a highly federated network. So like when we say highly federated, not just, on the continental United States, but OCONUS as well. So they had global outposts and global locations, bases, and commands. And they realized that if they wanted to do anything close to zero trust, getting a handle on a source of truth for who did what, where, and when was going to be their first priority. And I love being able to put a customer in the cloud. I love cloud architecture. But the reality is there are a lot of forward posts, quite frankly, that still have some physical component, be it AD, be it a database of some sort, an application hub, for instance, or network hub. And to move those to the cloud in a one-step lift and shift, God forbid, is very difficult. So they realized that they had to start consolidating and clean up, so to speak, all the years of identity proliferation. And when I say identity proliferation, we know what we're talking about, like how many the domain admins, super users, the people that are just so used to sudo to basically set up configure a printer. I don't need God privileges to set up a printer, for instance. I don't need God privileges to set up a network router, for instance. So they had to go in and start cleaning up. So we helped them understand exactly where all those assets were, what those individuals were capable of doing currently, for instance, because 9 times out of 10, when an attacker comes after a network, they want to find a soft point on a domain or a server that has privileged levels of security, for instance. So we help them consolidate those things, crunch that into a single domain or single force, reduce the number of actual users who had elevated privilege. And for those that still had elevated privileges, give them a just-in-time privilege access. That is, if you need to do a specific function, then you have that privilege for that particular function, for that particular time, from that particular location. And then we pull it back. And yes, politically, there was a lot of hand-wringing. There was a lot of, but I need this. I gotta have this. And once you put it into practice, it realized that, you know what? They had a much more secure footprint. They started to understand that zero trust, one, not an application, but they started to understand how the principles could be applied and how it would impact the network operations moving forward and how much more secure they started to become once they deployed it in those specific locations.